In the early 1970s, Spain's railway system was undergoing significant changes. Decades of neglect had taken their toll. The infrastructure was outdated, and safety regulations were more theoretical than practical. Despite this, the government had prioritized expansion over maintenance. New lines were built hastily, often without addressing existing safety concerns. The route to Santiago de Compostela was a crucial corridor. It connected travelers to one of the most revered pilgrimage sites in the world, the Cathedral of Santiago, a landmark steeped in history and spirituality. Each year, thousands journeyed here, drawn by faith, curiosity, and the allure of tradition. The express train service, known as the Expreso de Santiago, facilitated this pilgrimage, offering comfort and speed. But as the number of passengers grew, so did the pressure on the railway to deliver profits, often at the expense of safety. The Expreso de Santiago was a modern marvel of its time. Designed for long-distance travel, it boasted an impressive fleet of cars, outfitted with amenities resembling those of air travel. Spacious seating, dining cars, and panoramic windows promised a pleasant journey through the picturesque landscapes of northern Spain. However, beneath its sleek exterior lay a disregard for the very infrastructure that supported it. The train operated on tracks that were crumbling, with worn-out signaling systems and outdated maintenance protocols. On that fateful night, the train departed Madrid, packed with eager passengers ready for their pilgrimage. The evening air was filled with anticipation. Little did they know, an invisible danger loomed ahead. As the train barreled down the tracks, corners that had not seen proper maintenance in years awaited them. In one precarious stretch near the city of Santiago, a single distraction could turn a routine journey into catastrophe. The chilling reality was that the railway's management had ignored numerous warning signs. Safety audits were cursory, often failing to address the urgent need for repairs. Locomotive crews had flagged concerns about speeding on certain sections, yet corporate executives prioritized schedules and profits over passenger safety. Their belief? That the trains were simply too valuable to slow down. The tragedy unfolded just as the train approached a notorious curve near the town of Angros. Despite warnings from engineers, the express train maintained its high speed, a decision fueled by the relentless pursuit of profit. There was a deafening roar, a catastrophic moment where management decisions converged with engineering failures. The outer rail fractured under the weight of the train. As this took place, passengers braced themselves against the impending chaos, unaware of the grim reality unfolding around them. The consequences of corporate negligence were about to unveil a nightmare that would reshape Spain's rail industry forever. The clock was ticking. Investigators would soon uncover the truth behind the disaster, revealing layers of deception and corner-cutting that put lives at risk. Was this tragedy merely a consequence of human error, or did it expose a deeper rot within the national railway system? What started as a routine journey transformed into a moment that would force the nation to confront the very foundations of its railway infrastructure. Who would be held accountable, and could such a disaster ever be prevented again? As the sun dipped below the horizon on April 3, 1972, the skies over northern Spain were deceptively serene. Clear visibility made the lush green landscape surrounding the tracks appear inviting, but the tranquility masked a looming tragedy. The Expreso de Santiago was on schedule, packed with eager travelers making their way to Santiago de Compostela for the holy pilgrimage. Yet beneath the sleek exterior of this modern train, ominous undercurrents churned. Days leading up to the disaster revealed a troubling pattern. Weather was no concern. Reports showed optimal conditions. Train schedules remained tight, with minimal delays. But the underlying issues ran far deeper. Maintenance records painted a stark picture of neglect. The very tracks that cradled the wheels of the express train had undergone years of deferred maintenance, forcing engineers to contend with wear and tear that should have warranted serious review. Regular inspections, vital to safety, were insufficient and often skipped, a consequence of management's singular focus on profitability. In the weeks before the disaster, railway workers had raised red flags about the conditions of the tracks, particularly the issues surrounding the steep gradient of the route near Angros. Yet, These warnings fell on deaf ears in the corporate boardrooms, where executives prioritized schedules and profit margins over safety protocols. The corporate ethos was clear: keep the trains running, keep the customers satisfied, even if that meant cutting corners. On that fateful day, the Expreso de Santiago began its journey at full speed. Executives had pushed for maximum efficiency, and the weight of their negligence hung heavily over every passenger on board. The train, capable of reaching speeds of over 130 kilometers per hour, hurtled towards a series of sharp curves for which the decaying tracks had long been unfit. As the train approached the notorious curve at Angros, the danger escalated. Dispatchers had received alerts of potential problems, but decisions made in the upper echelons of the railway company dismissed these concerns, branding them as irrelevant to their operations. The engineers operating the train were caught in a race against time, tasked with delivering passengers safely while navigating a precarious route where one wrong move could spell disaster. Meanwhile, the maintenance teams worked under severe constraints, juggling the demands for upkeep against dwindling resources and a severe lack of funds. Safety protocols felt increasingly like an afterthought in the face of a corporate culture that valued speed over diligence. Maintenance records, lined with entries of postponed repairs, echoed with the unheeded warnings of those responsible for maintaining the line. The general atmosphere in the railway authority was one of complacency, where past incidents had been brushed aside, leading to an overarching belief that disaster was not a possibility, but an abstraction. Yet, as tensions mounted and the train sped toward Angros, one question loomed large. Could a single decision, be it to increase speed or to ignore maintenance reports, really lead to a catastrophe? As the train rattled down the tracks toward its fate, the time for answers was running out. What was the tipping point? What could have been done differently to prevent the impending disaster? The answers lie in the shadows of that decision-making process, revealed in the next segment when we explore how the sheer weight of corporate negligence descended upon the ultimate tragedy at Angros. The Expreso de Santiago rolled steadily towards its destination. Passengers chatted and laughed. For them, it was just another evening train ride, a simple journey across the rolling hills of Galicia. But behind the scenes, crucial decisions had already set the stage for catastrophe. As the train departed the station in Madrid, it picked up speed, the light fading outside. The air was tinged with a mix of excitement and the scent of fresh pastries sold on board. Yet, engineers had flagged issues with the track's condition earlier that day. Their warnings were pushed aside, brushed off by managers eager to avoid delays. The train crossed the Spanish countryside, passing through small towns, completely unaware of the looming danger. By the time it reached the outskirts of Santiago, the clock crept towards 9 p.m. At Angros, the express train was due to negotiate a steep curve that had long been the focus of safety concerns. Just moments before disaster, everything felt routine. The conductor, unaware of the ominous fate ahead, maintained speed. However, the track, riddled of proper maintenance, betrayed its increasing degradation. As the train approached the curve, a shudder traversed through the cars. Then it came, a sudden, horrific jolt. Passengers were thrown from their seats. An ear-splitting screech pierced the night as the train derailed. Steel shrieked, carriages twisted and collapsed like a stack of dominoes. It was chaos incarnate. In seconds, the sound of destruction faded, replaced by a haunting silence. The train lay strewn across the tracks, mangled and broken. Darkness enveloped the wreckage. Rescue teams arrived swiftly, their headlights cutting through the night. But what they found was beyond imagination, a scene of ruin and despair. First responders worked with urgency, their hearts racing as they sought signs of life amidst the wrecked metal. The casualties began to mount, 77 lives lost, with hundreds injured. Survivors emerged, dazed and covered in debris, searching for loved ones amid the horror. Emergency services faced immense challenges from the outset. The local hospitals were quickly overwhelmed. Medics struggled to transport victims, while the shocked townsfolk rushed to help from nearby homes, bringing blankets and water. Such solidarity in the face of tragedy illuminated the resilience of the human spirit, but it could not erase the grim reality of the evening. Public outrage followed news of the disaster. Questions arose, like shadows haunting the rail industry. How could this happen? Was it negligence? Was it greed? Reports soon surfaced, revealing critical failures in maintenance protocols that had been ignored for years. Executives concerned with profitability had sacrificed safety, and the consequences were catastrophic. As investigations unfolded, light was shed on the neglected practices of railway management. Whistleblowers emerged, recounting how warnings had gone unheeded, how profits trumped precaution. It became clear this was not just a tragic accident, it was a preventable disaster rooted in systemic failures. The weight of accountability loomed heavy. How would those responsible for the safety lapses account for the bloodshed? Who would face justice? The chilling truth began to surface. The neglect, the warnings, the consequences. They all intertwined in a chilling tapestry of corporate indifference and human loss. But before we delve deeper into the fallout of the Santiago de Compostela train disaster, consider this. What measures, if any, were suddenly implemented to ensure such a tragedy would never occur again? And more hauntingly, how many other lives were in jeopardy because of neglect? Stay tuned as we unravel the aftermath and explore the seismic impact this calamity had on an entire industry. In the wake of the Santiago de Compostela train disaster, the gravity of the tragedy set into motion a thorough investigation by authorities. The focus was sharp. What went wrong and why? The Spanish government quickly formed an inquiry, probing every aspect of the Expreso de Santiago and its ill-fated journey. It wasn't long before investigators unearthed a chilling pattern of negligence. The initial findings revealed stark warnings. Months prior to the derailment, railway engineers had flagged critical issues with the track near Angrois. Despite these alerts, corporate executives at the Spanish National Railway failed to act decisively. Delays in maintenance and a glaring lack of investment in infrastructure were pivotal factors. Reports indicated that decision-makers prioritized profit margins over safety. Their pursuit of efficiency created a veneer of reliability that would come crashing down with the weight of the tragedy. As the investigation deepened, it became evident that the layers of negligence extended beyond track maintenance. Train operators had not received up-to-date safety training. Protocols designed to prepare staff for emergencies were overlooked. This systemic breakdown rippled through every facet of railway operations. It became crystal clear the disaster was not simply an accident. It was a culmination of decisions made in boardrooms where the price of safety was deemed too high. Public outrage ignited across Spain. Families mourning the loss of loved ones demanded accountability. They wanted to know how such profound negligence could occur. Investigators faced immense pressure to deliver answers. By mid-1973, most conclusions were drawn. The final report outlined how the goal of maximizing profits led to compromised safety standards. It highlighted a stark failure in corporate responsibility, with officials choosing to ignore the very framework meant to protect the traveling public. This tragedy reshaped railway safety regulations in Spain. In response to the findings, the government implemented sweeping reform measures. New protocols mandated regular inspections of track conditions. A comprehensive retraining program for railway staff was initiated, emphasizing emergency preparedness. Stringent financial penalties were established for corporate negligence. These changes did not just affect the Spanish rail system, they sent a shockwave through railway safety standards across Europe. Yet as advances in safety protocols blossomed, lingering questions remained. How deep did the rot of negligence run? Were there other entities complicit in covering up these safety issues? While rail safety improved, could complacency emerge once again? The Santiago disaster is a haunting reminder etched into Spain's collective memory. Its legacy sparked urgent conversations about corporate responsibility and the ethical obligations of those at the helm. But the real question that lingers is, have the lessons learned been enough to prevent future tragedies, or are we just one overlooked warning away from another catastrophe?